Hi guys, I'm Arisa. Welcome to season 2 of The Bridge, Africa's #1 financial literacy show, brought to you by Business Day. This season is proudly powered by FCMB. Hello, Mr. Paul Adebo. Welcome to The Bridge.
Thanks, Arisa. Nice to be on the program.
So you're the head of SME liabilities. That sounds like a very interesting job at FCMB. So tell us a little bit about that. What does this entail?
Okay, so the role actually entails all the transaction related. So whether you're talking about current accounts, savings accounts, the product development, the sales of it, enrollment on alternate channels, and basically the transactional behavior of customers. It's my responsibility to make sure that customers are happy with the products that they get. They are happy with the transactions that they are able to do based on those products that they are buying from us. So basically, I help them to become happier than they were before they joined the bank.
That part sounds nice, but most of it sounds like big financial grammar for my audience, right? And the point of The Bridge is to talk about the pain points people have with money and financial issues, and basically break down that financial jargon in a way that they can understand. So this show is for millennials, right? And I'm sure they would love to hear from you, because SMEs are, known for dealing with a lot of different issues with running their businesses in Nigeria. So one of the biggest things that an SME in Nigeria will talk about is a lack of access to capital, because banks, you people, your debt is very expensive. So what does FCMB do to make things, easier for SMEs?
Okay, that's a very, very useful question, very relevant to SMEs. But allow me just track back a bit.
Okay.
Access to finance is important. I think finance is important for any business, but it may not be the most important factor for an SME. So you could have other issues like even understanding the business. You have issues like marketing your business. You have issues of how you walk around the current challenges of infrastructure and so on, how you manage your costs.
Yeah.
These are some of the challenges that SMEs face. Now, when you've addressed this number of challenges as it applies to the SME business, you can then leverage on that, on your strength, and ask for a loan. One of the things that the banks will be looking to see is how efficiently you have run your business.
Yes.
Okay, so because we believe that if we finance an inefficient business, we are financing the inefficiency of that business. So it just amplifies the inefficiency of the business. And obviously that money isn't coming back to the shareholders.
So basically, I found that a lot of SMEs, you can have 100,000 naira problem, and because you've not figured out how to make your business efficient, enough, you've not figured out the business model for your business, but you think that what you need is more capital, but what you really need to do is make your business more efficient. You go and get money, and then you turn that 100,000 naira problem into a 10 million naira problem, because you haven't actually figured out how it works. So what are the things, even though I agree with you, right? Like, debt is not the answer to
all the problems,
but what are the specific things that FCMB is doing to help these businesses build structure, build capacity, that kind of thing? What are the specific things, programs that you're running?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have observed this challenge with many of the SMEs. So what we have done in the past 6-7 months have been to bring SMEs together, and we've been doing that pretty well in the last couple of years. But this year we've been able to train about 300 SMEs in record keeping, how to assess finance, what they need to know before approaching a bank, marketing, how to take their products to the market, how to package their products and so on. And we've looked at it also in different segments, so that there is a focus around that particular SME. So I'm a school, how do I see take my product to the market? as opposed to I'm a retailer, how do I take my product to the market? Okay, or I'm a young entrepreneur who has a 9-to-5 job, but I also have a side hustle. And so when I'm back from work, how do I take my product to the market? So we have seen all of this. So we've done these trainings, what we call the BEST training, Business Empowerment and Sustainability Training. And we're going to be running another session in Abuja in September, and we'll be training about 200 to 300 SMEs in Abuja. We have other sessions that are scheduled in Southeast, as well as the Southwest region. So that's one area
where you're helping SMEs outside of capital. Let's dig a little bit deeper into those things. So we say, SMEs hear these things all the time, or you don't keep, records. What kind of records do you need them to keep so that they're more attractive, to give a loan to?
Okay, so these are basically their sales records. So how much have you sold today? If that money goes into your bank account as sales, okay, it's clear that you've sold X today, and this is what you sell every month. How much is your cost? What's the cost of purchase of those goods that you're selling? What are the other operating costs? What is your profit margin? Because if I offer you a loan,
I need to know that you're going to be able to pay back.
I need to know you're going to be able to pay back. And my loan should not take down your business. So I want to be able to take out your costs, all your costs, and know what your profit margin is. And then you pay me from your margin.
This brings me to one question. So I find that a lot of SMEs, when they want to take capital, they're usually thinking about the cosmetic things for their business, as opposed to the things that they need to invest in to create a direct impact for the bottom line, i.e. profit, right? So let's say a fashion business, they're more interested in like their branding and how they look, as opposed to the key things that are going to help them turn a profit, and they start to confuse their cash flows with their profits margins. What kind of advice would you give someone who was coming to you and saying, I want 10 million naira for my fashion business? What are the specific things that you would tell them to spend the money on so that they turn a profit, so that you can really see those profit margins?
Okay, another good question. Let me first start by saying that because individuals are behind SMEs, sometimes it's difficult for them to isolate themselves from the business. So an individual will be more emotional about a product. So when they get a loan, they might be more emotional because they are thinking as an individual. But a business is obviously a lot more rational. So it's not just look and feel is important, particularly for a fashion business, fashion brand. Obviously, look and feel will be important, but you've got to find a balance, because if the numbers are not coming in, if the profit is not coming in, then you'll not be in business for too long. Okay, so they need to be able to find the balance. What will I advise that they do with the money? I think firstly, they need to have a business plan. You need to have a clear plan. It's common
how
practice.
You're going to spend it.
Yes, it's common practice for SMEs to think that, hey, I've got it all up here. I know what I want to do. Yes, but you find out that once you begin to put it on paper, there are areas where you never thought of. The figures begin to come into play, and you begin to realize the size of money that you require. And then you begin to ask yourself, what is important? What can be scaled? Okay, every business is a project, and every project has a phase. So, you don't just say, I'm going to build a 10-story and you just start building. You've got to plan. Exactly. Yeah. And you've got to take it in phases. So you've got to think about what you need in 10 months' time. If you need it in 10 months' time, don't bring the cost to today, because the cost of financing the vision of 10 months' time might be too expensive for your business to carry.
To carry.
Yeah.
Okay, so in assessing, SMEs that come to you for, loans, what do you find are the biggest pitfalls in terms of meeting the criteria? What's the one thing that they usually don't have or they fail on?
I think SMEs are poor on record.
Okay.
They keep very poor record. Now, it's not an indictment on any SME. It all obviously could be as a result of the environment where we are. Well, I think record keeping should be encouraged. And number two, there is usually no clear plan really of what they actually want to do. So, everyone wants a loan, but no one has actually thought
about how they're going to apply it,
how they can maximize that loan, and when they should take that loan, and what size of loan they should take per time. There's nothing wrong in saying, oh, I need 10 million for my business, but you know what, I only need 1 million now, and let me take the right kind of loan so that I can repay that and then move on to the next phase.
And
of my project.
Is debt even an appropriate mode of raising that capital, because maybe it's too expensive, especially in Nigeria?
Well,
sometimes it's better for you to, find an equity investor as opposed to taking a loan from, a bank because of the cost.
Yeah, it's interesting you raised that, because many years ago, many SMEs were not thinking about equity investment. But I think a number of them have now started thinking of equity investment. And that's one of the good things that FCMB has done over the last few months. We have tried to seek the opportunities within the SME space for equity investors to partner with SMEs. So we have an advisory desk, for instance. And for those who have seen our ads, you have a business idea, let's grow the business, So once you connect with that desk, for instance, you are able to get support on equity investors who might be interested in your own area of business. There are some equity investors that are just interested in schools or hospitals, for instance, and other types of business, as the case may be. So yes, that opportunity is available for customers of FCMB, and if they engage us, I mean, you would find that you get a more bespoke service. It's not a one cap fit all. You can take a kind of loan that is too expensive for you. But again, having said that, Arase, one of the challenges that SMEs have is that there are no resources. You see, there's no capacity for them to draw from. There are no mentors. Okay, they are not very many mentors. If
that they have access
to, and that's a challenge. There's no pool of information that they can draw from.
And FCMB is trying to solve this by giving them access to resources and advisory desk. So talk to me a little bit about how that works. So I have a business. Do I just call a number, or do I have to apply, or do I have to have an FCMB account?
Right. So to access support from our advisory desk, what our customers need to do is to send an email to SME Advisory Unit at FCMB.com. SME Advisory Unit at FCMB.com.
Fantastic.
Or call our contact center.
Amazing. Okay, so we talked about two pitfalls that SMEs fall into when they're applying for loans, right? So they don't keep business records and they don't plan properly for the money that they're asking for. But another one that comes up a lot is collateral. Now, you're dealing with a lot of SMEs, and I would imagine that a huge chunk of those SMEs are traders. So even if they don't have collateral in terms of property, they have collateral in terms of their stock. But I find that quite a few financial institutions in Nigeria don't really accept that as collateral. But their stocks should be a flexible way of, giving them access to loans because it is an asset. So where does FCMB stand on that?
I think for us, financing stock and using stock as security as well is very feasible, and we've done it over and over. I don't expect a trader who requires, say, 3 million, 4 million to put down a security of 50 million of a house, 120 million, and so on. So we have what we call a temporary advance facility for traders.
Okay.
Temporary advance facility for traders is a short-term loan that could cycle out, say, within a maximum of 90 days and can recycle.
Fantastic. So I see that being a big problem. You have all this stock, you haven't sold it yet, and all of a sudden you have 2 loans to pay, and you're not using half that loan. You're not applying the loan properly, so you put yourself in trouble. So, well, I guess it helps that you match your loans with financial advisory or financial education, for these businesses, so they don't fall into these problems.
Absolutely.
I wanted to talk about intervention loans. So in Nigeria, access to capital, access to debt in particular, is really expensive. And you get all these announcements from BOI or CBN saying that they've announced these intervention loans that are supposed to be cheaper for SMEs, right? You hear things like 9%, so it's single digits and everyone gets excited. And then it's almost like, who are they giving these loans to? Because I don't know anybody who's really accessing it. And it sounds like it's because of some bureaucracy that happens, within the actual banks. So BO has said, unless banks like FCMB approve you can't have access to the loan. So what are the issues, in terms of SMEs accessing those intervention loans?
Okay, from our observation, there have been quite a number of expectations from SMEs around intervention funds. But there have not been the clarity around what segments or what sectors of the economy the loans are meant to finance. So for instance, the inception of many of these intervention funds, the focus was on real sectors. So, the job creation type of sectors. Okay. So take, for instance, manufacturing, where I can employ more people. So, the government was trying to
help to reduce unemployment.
Absolutely. So, but what you then see is you find quite a number of people in other sectors asking for the loan. So you obviously will get a louder noise that banks are not
really coming through.
Banks are not coming through. And secondly, banks have been asked to apply their risk asset criteria. And what that simply means is that for every business, I would profile that business and see if the business qualifies, because I take a risk on behalf of that business taking the loan from BOI. And for FCMB, we've done quite a number of loans
with SMEs.
Intervention fund type loans. I'm tempted to say that we've done well, but I know there are more grounds to cover.
Okay.
And we are building daily our structures to be able to accommodate more of this kind of loans. We've gone into more partnerships, actually, even with Development Bank of Nigeria, in addition to the BOI, CBN loans as well. So we are again helping our customers when we have this kind of engagement during trainings and so on, help our customers to also understand how they can access these loans. And that's part of the function of our advisory desks. We also push out information to our customers on direct marketing and so on, so that if they qualify, they can
apply.
Yes, they can approach the bank and ask for.
So you help them through your education programs.
Yes.
To be ready to access those loans. That's amazing. Okay, so you've given us a lot of insight into what you do at FCMB and all of that. But let's be honest, in Nigeria, at some point, SME became a buzzword for a lot of banks. And it seemed like they were doing all these SME programs and, we want to help SMEs. But how much impact is it really having? So outside of your education programs and, helping people to be more eligible for loans, what are the other things that you're doing to make life easier for SMEs?
Wow, okay, that sounds like saving the best for last. You know, one of the things we are very logical in terms of the solutions that we prefer to SMEs. So it's not just throwing products out there, it's first understanding what their challenges are. One of the key challenges SMEs have faced is the high operating cost, so high cost of doing business.
Yeah.
And we have thought of how we can support SMEs, particularly the young SMEs coming up. So, you know, so one of the things we introduced last year is a 3 months free banking.
What does that mean?
What that means is that you open an account with me for the first 3 months, you get a waiver on your account maintenance, which is one of your biggest cost really. Account maintenance for 3 months is free, and then other costs like the cost of a business card, cost of a checkbook, you know, cost of a draft or statement. You ask for a statement to be printed. All of these costs come free to you as an SME for 3 months. And guess what? We have the cost of transfer reduced by 75%.
Nice.
Yeah, so, you know, instead of paying 52 naira 50 kobo including VAT, you probably be paying about 11 naira, you know, for the cost of doing a transfer. So you probably will transfer money to me. Okay. You know. And what we have seen has been tremendous because people have been able to plunge back that savings into their businesses. Okay. And it's been very, very effective for many SMEs. Okay. Well done, Paul. This has been amazing. Thank you for coming on the show. And I'm sure that a lot of our audience will want to come and speak to you about, you know, their SME issues and how they can access loans. We look forward to receiving comments from SMEs. Thank you for having me. Thank you for coming.
It's hard to expand my business.
You know, many farmers depend on me. All these banks saying they don't see my vision.
Sorry for interrupting. That's not exactly true. Just last year, I had planned to expand my hospitality business. It was tough, but I met the right people.
Who exactly are these people?
My bank, FCMB.
With the right people who believe in your visions, getting to your desired destination is easier and quicker. Let's help you take the next step. FCMB, my bank and I.
So that was a very insightful interview with Mr. Paul Adebo, the head of SME liabilities at FCMB. One of the highlights of that interview was that SMEs have a lot of pitfalls when it comes to, you know, accessing loans or running their businesses. One of the things he brought up was that they don't keep enough business records, so they tend to confuse their cash flows with their profits, and, you know, at that point you're making assumptions as opposed to decisions. Another thing Paul talked about was the fact that FCMB recognizes that access to capital is not just the only thing that SMEs struggle with, and they've started to pair their normal banking services with financial education programs and financial advisory services so that they can help their SMEs be more sustainable and thrive. Finally, Paul mentioned that when it comes to debts, a lot of businesses make the mistake of putting a purpose for their loan in their business plan, so purpose A, and then they end up applying it differently to purpose C. So guys, when you take a loan from a bank and you're lucky enough to be given it, stick to the reason that you said you were going to use the loan. Thank you for watching this episode. See you next time.